All right, let's dive in with Bryant McFadden and Ryan Wilson, the two-time Super Bowl champ and our NFL analyst. Guys, there's always plenty to get to when these two meet, but even more in this moment. Let's start on the Green Bay side. 4 wins in a row, looking like a completely different football team, rattling off 40-plus points in this game against the Vikings. Plenty could be said about the Vikings, and we will say it. But first here on Green Bay, B-Mac, what's really taken you over this last month of play? How have they changed so drastically in such a short amount of time?
I think what I'm seeing defensively, more consistent play. Remember, throughout that losing streak they were involved in defensively, they couldn't get any stops. Dealing with a lot of injuries, the production was not there. They're still dealing with a lot of injuries, guys, but what we're seeing now is a more consistent unit. They've been extremely good in tackling the catch, not allowing big-time plays, and because of that, they're giving their offense a fighting chance. Secondly, what about special teams? I mean, Aaron Rodgers talked about Nixon, right? He's one of the best returners in the game. Word to the wise, do not kick him the football. Pooch kick it out of the end zone, but do not give number 25 an opportunity to return it because he will return it. Lastly, for me, guys, Aaron Rodgers and his pass catchers, they like each other now. It seemed to be earlier in the year, they didn't like each other. They didn't know exactly where the other would be. Now the chemistry, the rhythm, the relationship is intact, and we're starting to see some real good football when it comes to the passing game. That was missing early in the year. Now it's there, it's relevant, and they're rolling, and they have more than a fighting chance coming up this week.
Well, let's talk about those chances, Ryan Wilson, because you got a 2-time MVP leading things. You can run the ball effectively with a 2-headed monster. Passing game is more potent than it has been in the past. Just how real of a threat is this Packers team, assuming they can punch their ticket in Week 18?
They're legit. And, the comparison we would make on the Pick Six podcast in recent weeks is, would you rather face Aaron Rodgers and the Packers or Tom Brady and the Buccaneers? And it ain't even close. Mm-hmm. Everyone wants to face Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. No one wants to see Aaron Rodgers and the Packers for the reasons that you and B-Mac laid out. The passing game is better, but it ain't like Aaron Rodgers set the world on fire. 15 and 24 for 159. But as B-Mac noted, he and the young wide receivers are now on the same page. We know Christian Watson is a track star. We knew that before he was drafted. And now it's translating into being a wide receiver and one of the guys that Aaron Rodgers trusts. Romeo Doubs is getting more opportunities. Randall Cobb is his go-to guy in the middle of the field. Robert Tonyan is also his go-to guy who made some plays today as well. And then we talk about Aaron Jones, and I think Aaron Jones fits into the same conversation that we had a while back about Austin Eckler in terms of the versatility that he brings to an offense. Aaron Jones does the exact same thing with the added bonus of having A.J. Dillon as the steamroller to loosen up defenses who don't like to tackle by the end of the fourth quarter. And we saw some of that today as well. So I think all told, you don't want to face Aaron Rodgers no matter what, and you certainly don't want to see this team compared to a Buccaneers team who looks to be backdooring their way into the playoffs as well.
Well, as for the Vikings, it's a loss, but it's a jarring one at that. We've seen a couple 40-plus points get hung on this defense that we know there's questions about, but just from a team standpoint, B-Mac, you lose a game like this in a moment like this. How quickly can confidence be shaken when we're talking about the Minnesota Vikings?
Well, I think when you're a part of the team, your confidence is intact because you have a proven record to say so, right, to feel that way. But for us as analysts, as spectators, we don't have that type of confidence because one thing we know about the Vikings, they're battle-tested, right? But another thing we know about the Vikings, sometimes they're not as prepared as you would think they should be, as you would like to see them be, right? When you're a playoff caliber team, especially playing against a divisional foe, when you have an opportunity to kick dirt on them, you start fast. Once again, we saw a slow start. Remember, you got a block punt from the Vikings. Special teams did a great job giving you an opportunity to put points on the scoreboard. You had to settle. Then you get another opportunity, turnover. Then defensively, they fought. The first half wasn't on the defense. It just was on their offense, and special teams not doing what they've been called to do. So me personally, this is a team, they're 12-4, but when they have bad ball games, they have bad ball games. So they got to find a way to be more consistent, especially when you're playing good on good, because going into the playoffs, you're not playing against a team that is extremely bad. You're playing against a team that's deserving to be in the tournament. If you're not careful, you get off to a slow start, you will have a short stay in the playoffs.
And that's just it, B-Mac. We know that this is in them. When they let go of the rope, they let go of that darn thing. Knowing that this is in them, Ryan Wilson, how do we trust a team like this come playoff time?
Yeah, not only did they let go of the rope, they forgot to put on the parachute, and they hit the ground at terminal velocity, and we certainly saw that tonight. And look, BMAC talked about the special teams gift that they got on that first series. They had the ball inside the 5-yard line and couldn't punch it in, scored 3 points. And the next thing you know, the Packers reel off 41 straight points, in large part because the Packers defense and the Packers special teams, which BMAC talked about. And this is the stat that I keep coming back to. And I don't put this loss all on Kirk Cousins, because I know Kirk Cousins, when it gets dark, isn't always great. But there are a lot of fingers to be pointed if you're in the Vikings watching the tape tomorrow. But one thing that I keep coming back to, this team is 12-4. They've had some huge wins. That Bills game immediately comes to mind. They're minus 19 point differential after this game. Last year's team that went 8-9, they got guys fired. They were -1 at the end of the season. So as you note, when they lose, they lose big. And as BMAC just pointed out, that's all well and good in the regular season, but you mess around and do this in the January football game, you're going to be going home right quick, and that's not how you want to end a season. That's not the taste you want in your mouth after a strong regular season. So I don't know if it's an easy fix. As BMAC notes, he's been in the locker room. You can sort of say that was yesterday and move forward, and that's what they're going to have to do. But they got to play better on all three teams, and we didn't see much of that at all this afternoon in Green Bay.
Guys, great stuff. As always, we appreciate the insights. Let's now take a look at the fantasy impact coming out of this game, because you know, your fantasy, our reality. Aaron Rodgers, 18 points here. Might not been enough, that is, to put you over the hump in your fantasy final. We know Kirk Cousins was not. We know you're not there if Kirk Cousins is your starting quarterback. Outside of that, Aaron Jones, good for 13. Big Bobby Tunyon with the touchdown, getting you 14.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.